No. It's Mr. Unlimited.
Yeah, whatever that. He needs to fire his video editing guy.
He really does.
Whatever was going on there.
Right here.
What up, Whisper Nation? Before we get you to your show, we just wanted to say, if you like this episode breakdown and you want to hear our full breakdown of all the games this week, head on over to our Patreon. For only $1, you can get access to the full entire audio breakdown, or if you do $5 pledge, then you can get access to the full video breakdown as well as audio. We will be giving you guys a sample of this for the first 3 weeks, so hope you guys enjoy. Now let's get you to that breakdown.
All right, so we've got next on the docket Atlanta at Seattle in this game. We've got Seattle as a favorite by 2 points and a 49 point over-under, the third highest over-under on the docket. You're going to want a piece of this one. We've got Matt Ryan versus hashtag Mr. Unlimited Russell Wilson.
No. It's Mr. Unlimited.
Yeah, whatever that. He needs to fire his video editing guy.
He really does.
Whatever was going on there. But I'm nonetheless, no matter how weird Russell Wilson is, that dude can ball. And I am so excited to see what this offense has to do. But we'll start with the Atlanta side of the field because we know what we get, right? We get Matt Ryan, consistent for the most part, QB 10 in points per game last year, has eclipsed 4,500 yards in 7 of his last 8 years. We know what we're going to get out of Matt Ryan. We know what we're going to get out of his wide receivers, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley. You're starting these guys. You drafted him early. Especially in this matchup. You'd be a fool. But I think we need to focus on the running back situation, which I think if you drafted Todd Gurley in an effort to use him, you better use him here because his knee could be a ticking time bomb. And this is a game, where we're going to get to use him. Summy, I just want to ask you what you think about his usage in the passing game, because he had career lows in receiving yards and, in rushing scores in his McVay era, last year. So what I've read out of LA is they were trying to limit him going out of the backfield as a receiver because of his knee. But then we also looked at the offensive line issues in LA last year and keeping him back as a blocker. So what's your read on Gurley's usage in the receiving game?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it was definitely an offensive line issue. You can't be trotting out 11 personnel all the time and then, have teams get adjusted to that and expect Gurley to continue putting up the efficient numbers that he put up in 2018. So I do think, if Chris Lindstrom, for example, if he pans out for the Atlanta Falcons, if this offensive line is improved, I could see a path to Gurley working in the passing game. I could see him being effective, although I don't think that they're going to run the ball as much, right? They're going to keep the ball in the air. Like 60% of the time, they're going to be passing the ball in neutral situations. So that's why I do love Matt Ryan. Todd Gurley, not so much.
But Todd Gurley, I just think look at Devonta Freeman. 59 receptions. That was 8th in the NFL last year. So I got to believe that Gurley's got some room here to get it done in the receiving game, right? At least while he's healthy.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, man. It's really tough because Gurley, he's a player that I want to love. He's so talented, but it's just the trepidations with his knee and his health. It's just, It's got me all sorts of scared.
It's just the competition behind him, though, which is like not competition at all. Even if he's 75%, is Brian Hill or Ito Smith really going to challenge him for
Johnny's guy, Ito Smith?
So they actually invested heavily at the running backs, like insurance for Gurley, right? Like if you look at how many running backs are actually on their roster right now, it's a lot more than other rosters, right? You have Ito Smith, you have Quadriolus, and you have Brian Hill being the clear-cut backup, but they clearly know that, hey, we need to have insurance for Todd Gurley. So I do see a situation where if Todd Gurley does go down,
they like all those guys.
They do, and I do think Brian Hill, last year, I don't know why people were saying he's not good. I mean, we saw him be pretty effective. They used Ito Smith more so at the goal line, but Brian Hill, he was pretty effective when he was on the field, and he passed the eye test for me. But I do see a world where, if Todd Gurley does happen to go down, unfortunately, knock on wood, this team just won't run. They'll just pass the ball every single play, and I could see that too. So there could or could not be value behind Todd Gurley here.
All right, Johnny, I want to ask about Hayden Hurst. He started as a darling for people in the tight end community for fantasy football. He ended the offseason as kind of one of the guys you maybe passed up for a guy like, I don't know, maybe say you had Noah Fant and Hayden Hurst, Johnny. Who would you start this week? Asking for a friend, maybe. I don't know.
Ooh, that's a good one. I would probably go... I'd probably go Noah Fant over Hayden Hurst. And the reason why is because...
I'm going Hayden Hurst because of the over-under. But
okay,
go ahead.
That's fine. But I do think that... Well, two things. Tennessee was actually... You look at the one weakness in their defense, it's to the tight end position. That's the one weakness that they have. And then looking at Seattle here... listen, I know we saw what Austin Hooper did last year for Matt Ryan, but again, I'll repeat it. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. Austin Hooper wasn't a top 5 tight end year 1. He wasn't a top 5 tight end year 2. He was a top 5 tight end year 3 with Matt Ryan. So it's going to take time. This isn't the greatest matchup. Seattle actually has a good defense, and so there are a lot of people that I would think that Hayden Hurst is probably the 4th best, maybe the 5th option in this offense for this game.
Johnny, just one quick counterpoint there. You said it took 3 years for Austin Hooper to get acclimated, but also Dirk Cutter wasn't there for 2 years before that, right? He just arrived there last year, and we know how much he loves to use his tight ends. Hayden Hurst, I think, is going to be a safety blanket for Matt Ryan, 3rd read, even above Todd Gurley, in my opinion. I do agree with you, the point where it might take some time for chemistry to develop, but with an over under, what is this game at? 49, I believe.
Yeah,
49. Yeah. So with that kind of over under,
you think Seattle is you honestly, so it's a 49 point over under, so that means what, like 28-24 is about the score. So you're saying 3 touchdowns for Atlanta?
I would take the over here. Number one. So
I just think it's gonna. I listen. If you drafted Hayden Hurst, you're probably going to start him because he was probably one of the 12 tight ends that you took off the board. But I think even Chris Herndon will have a better game than Hayden Hurst.
That's bold. I think we're gonna have to keep a tally of all these.
Yeah.
I
will.
Takes in week 1. I think we're just hungry for some football. That makes sense.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of which, the Seattle Seahawks fan base and maybe fantasy football fan base is hungry to let Russ cook. Just been so consistent. No quarterback has a 3-year streak of 30 or more touchdowns, except for Russell Wilson. He throws the ball deep and into the end zone. We know that. Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf. Fire him up. Chris Carson, you drafted him early. You got to start him here. Can anyone on the panel make a case from anyone outside of DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Chris Carson, or Russell Wilson?
Nope.
All right.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Whisperers podcast. You can hear more from John and Travis on Google Play, SoundCloud, and iTunes. You can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at TF Whisperers.